Hey guys, this is Sid with svtperformance.com, and what we have here is the 2020 Explorer ST model. And I just wanted to give you guys a walk around of this thing. We've had it for a couple days, but I haven't really got to drive it much. But what little bit I have got to drive it, I can tell you that this thing is leaps and bounds above Ford Performance's first attempt at an SUV, which was the Edge. I don't know if you guys saw our review on that a little bit later in 2019. We posted that up. If you haven't, I'll put a link in the description below. But that vehicle was kind of underwhelming. This one they actually, I think, got right. It's really nice. The new Explorer platform is very, very good. I'm very impressed by it. It's way, way better than the old Explorer. And of course, the big difference being, instead of being a front-wheel drive based platform, this new one is rear-wheel drive based, and we get the 10R80 transmission that I know you guys are familiar with from the F-150 and Mustang, things like that. And it works very, very well in this vehicle. I'm very impressed with it. We got this right after we had that Ford Ranger, and believe it or not, as big as this thing is, and with a much larger engine with twin turbos and all that kind of stuff, this Explorer gets better mileage than that Ford Ranger did. And there's a couple of different reasons about that I can go into later. But I just wanted to say that it's very peppy off the line. When you put it in sport mode, it is very growly. Of course, those noises that you hear from the engine are coming in through the speakers, which is not a great thing, but I guess it's better than what the engine would sound like by itself. It's just one of those things we're going to have to get used to it. Ford's not going to stop doing that. But yeah, everything works great on this thing. All-wheel drive is fantastic. It handles great. The brakes are very impressive, and as you can see, Ford has decided to paint the calipers red. They're hiding behind a set of aluminum 21-inch wheels with Pirelli Scorpion P0 tires, 275/45 21s. Those are not going to be cheap when it comes time to replace. The lights are very, very good on it. Ford has gotten some very good headlights in pretty much everything recently. LED, of course. This one, stickers for like $59.5. It's not a cheap vehicle, but it is very nice. I like the black badging. That's a nice touch. And of course it says ST on the grille. And you've got cameras all over the place. That's something to get used to. I like this air intake cut into the front bumper. It makes it look more aggressive. One thing I'm not super crazy about though, the intercooler is basically in this part of the grille up here, which is, as you can see, blocked off solid and sort of tucked back up in there. I'm sure that the Ford engineers know what they're doing and it gets adequate airflow, but you know, on a performance vehicle, I like to have the intercooler hanging out in front where it gets plenty of cold air to cool off that intake charge. I was also very impressed by the amount of aluminum that's in this vehicle. We have pictures and other coverage you can check out on the site of just some of the close-ups of the architecture of this thing, the aluminum extrusions, and it's impressive. I'll show you a little bit of that later on. I just wanted to show you an overview of the outside. Another thing I like way better than the Ranger, they integrated the unlock touchscreen in the pillar like it should be on a new vehicle, not something that's just tacked onto the door. Speaking of door panels are nice. All the interior materials are very nice. The seats are comfortable, decent quality leather. I'm still getting used to that touch dial, or actually the spinny dial for the gear shift. I love the dash in this thing, all digital. We've got the tall sort of iPad tablet style entertainment system, main nav screen, all that. Of course, you've got push button start, ST again on the steering wheel. Just an overall very nice package. One thing I thought that was kind of funny is this plastic applique here on the dash. I'm guessing they're going for a carbon fiber look, but to me it's almost like artificial snakeskin. It's kind of weird looking, but it's not bad. All the panel gaps and stuff are fairly tight. I did not get any squeaks or rattles from this thing. It seems to be a very well put together vehicle. Obviously we have the big sunroof. This one has the the split captain's chairs. I have the rear seats folded down, the main rear seats. You got a little storage area right there for your cup holders, things like that. Put your Yeti cup in it. Got the B&O sound system. It sounds pretty good. We also have, of course, the inductive charging for your phone built in. Ford started to integrate that in a lot of new vehicles. And another thing I like, we've got choices on your USB ports. So if you've got a newer iPhone, you can plug it in here without having an adapter or anything like that. That's great to see. The heated seats work very well. Heated steering wheel also works pretty well. Again, this dash is spot on. I want to see this in all new Fords, basically. I really like that. I like the customizability of it. Very nice. And again, you can see we're over in Myrtle Beach. And we have ST in the seat backs as well. And Ford Performance on the door seal. And of course we have ST on the seat back and Ford Performance on the door seal. Another thing that's kind of a little bit odd is the hood release. So traditionally you would pull it once and then you go out and fumble around under the hood for the actual latch release, but on this one you just pull it up again and now it is fully released. You just lift. But the sad thing is we're back to a prop rod. Now give me just a second, we'll prop this thing up and take a look under the hood. Yeah, I'm not a fan of a $59,000 vehicle having a prop rod, but it is what it is, I suppose. Under the hood, we've got the 3-liter EcoBoost, twin turbocharged, of course. This was first seen in the Lincoln Continental, starting to trickle down into the Ford lineup. This is a very nice engine. It produces very good power. Again, link to our full article with specs and all that kind of stuff is in the description below, so go ahead and click that. Head over to svtperformance.com to see it. That's where we post all the extra information. And if you have any specific questions, that's the best place to post it because we check that more often. So head over there if you want to find out all that. The air box is front and center, and it gets its air from a little tube that runs down here and goes to the front. So that's great. We've got cold air coming into the air box, and of course pipes coming off each part of the lid going to the turbos. It's basically what you would expect to see from newer Fords. It's kind of jammed in there, a lot of stuff going on, but it's making a lot of power out of a little engine. One of the other things that's just a little odd is you have to pull this panel here, and there's your battery. So to change the battery, you better be ready to take the wiper cowl off. That's going to be fun. But that just closes back down there. So this whole panel will have to come off to get to the battery on this thing if you have to change it out. Speaking of changing stuff out, I like that the way they've changed it to a rear drive platform. It'll be easier to change oil and everything is much simpler because with having it the engine transversely mounted, it puts the oil filter in weirder places and stuff like that. So this makes service a little bit easier. Plus, like we've mentioned before, EcoBoost uses 5W30 oil. That should give you guys a hint. Stop using that 5W20 stuff. Put 530 in it if you're going to run it hard. I like that they put the ECU right on top here. It's easy to get to in case you ever need to send it off for service or anything like that. If you want to do any modifications that require sending the ECU out, it's right here and easy to get to, and it looks like it's made by Bosch. Back to fuel mileage, and the whole reason we got EcoBoost to begin with is to get better fuel mileage. Like I mentioned earlier, this thing gets better fuel mileage than the Ranger we had, even though the Ranger has a 2.3-liter engine, has the same transmission, and probably weighs less. I'm not sure, but I would almost guarantee it does because this is a big vehicle. This thing has the active grille shutters built into it that close off at highway speeds, make it a little bit slicker through the air, and they work. I know a lot of people delete those off their Mustangs, which is understandable, but they do a very good job of improving aerodynamics, cutting down on drag, and improving your fuel economy. That's exactly what these little scoops do as well. You come in through here, exit right there, and all that does is just break up the airflow disruption around the wheels. This is improving drag. I'll open the back door for you here. Let's take a look. Again, you've got very nice leg room and just really nice appointments all around. We've got heated rear seats again. We've got 2 USB chargers. Pick your style you want. We've got an AC outlet. So if you've got an AC appliance, want to run a blender, maybe it's tailgate time, you need to make some margaritas, you can do that. In the rear here, we've of course got power liftgate, as you'd come to expect. Decent amount of cargo room, and you lift up this little panel here, and there's even a storage tray underneath, which is nice, and that's got a rubber liner in it. I'm guessing that that little rubber liner is a Ford accessories part. I'm not sure if it is or it isn't, but I would definitely get it if I had one. In fact, I would have a rubber liner that covered this whole area. I would probably never use the rear seats, the main rear seats, maybe once every 3 years. So in my Explorer that I had previously, I just left that folded flat the entire time, and I had a nice rubber floor mat that covered the whole thing, kept the carpet clean. These are of course power fold seats, so they will come up on their own. Not too bad. And they also go down on their own. Kind of stuff you expect from a vehicle this expensive. And of course, power liftgate closes on its own. It's really just a very, very nice vehicle. It's expensive, yes, but you're getting a lot for your money on this one. $59,000 and change. This one's pretty well loaded up. You could probably delete the sunroof if you wanted to save a few dollars, but you're getting a lot of performance in I think, a very, very good looking package. This is probably the best looking Explorer Ford's built in quite a while. I'll go back to the 2009 2010 Explorer Sports like I had, but I'm a little bit biased on that. I had one of those with a 4.63 valve and a Magnuson 1.9 liter TVS blower on it. Made 400 all-wheel horsepower and 400 torque, and really the only limit we ran into on that thing was tuning. We just didn't have all the tables opened up to eliminate all of the torque management. But this one doesn't seem to be an issue. We've got guys like Livernois out there tuning these, and basically tune-only Explorer STs are running into 12s, which is pretty damn fast for a big SUV like this with a 6-cylinder engine and not a whole lot put into modifications. So I think this is probably the best effort that Ford has put together with the new ST SUVs. It far, far exceeds the Edge. Of course, it's more expensive, but it's not that much more expensive for what you're getting. You're getting a much bigger vehicle that's more capable. You can tow more, it's faster, better engine, better transmission by far. Rear-wheel drive bias, which is great. All-wheel drive, which is also fantastic, and some of the best styling of any new Ford vehicle. I definitely like the black mirror caps and even the black roof rails, which I was surprised to see. This is sort of a subtle thing, but it looks really nice on this. It goes well with the black trim around the windows and the pillars. This thing, it's legit. I would buy one. I would definitely purchase one of these things if I was in the market for a sporty SUV with a lot of room and good fuel mileage. I mean, it's a great family vehicle. So if you got to haul around some kids or some dogs, check out the Explorer ST. It's worth a look. Like I said, I just wish I had a little bit more time with it. It's been pouring the rain the last couple days, so I haven't been able to get out and shoot a video, but it's great. One thing that I do not like, though, I'll point this out right before I start it up for you. For some reason, they've moved the lock feature to the front of the door handles. On Mustangs and everything else, it's always been on the back, so now you got to touch the front. And to me, it's one of those change for the sake of change things. I'm not a huge fan of that. I'd rather they just left it on the back. But it is good that it's on every door handle. so you can open or lock the door from anyone. Let's go ahead and start this thing up. And it's just a quiet engine. You can just hear it ticking away with its little EcoBoost direct injectors. Let's go ahead and close this. I'll get inside, I'll show you the drive modes. Okay. So back inside here, you can see we haven't been driving a whole lot, but we're averaging 18.9 miles per gallon, and I can tell you that is all in-town driving. I guess I've got maybe 20 miles on the interstate with it. The rest of it has been in town, and we're averaging almost 19 miles per gallon. On a trip, you're probably going to be looking in the low to mid 20s interstate driving, so I think that's pretty good. You go down here and we can switch in our drive modes to, we've got eco mode coming up. And basically it just changes the transmission mapping, throttle mapping, things like that, and you get some different gauges to look at. Of course, the best one is sport mode. You get a tachometer, speedometer, all that great stuff. We also have our paddle shifters, so if you want to put it in the manual mode, you can, and shift your own gears. The transmission tuning is pretty spot on with this thing. It knows what gear it should be in at what time. So I think with a tune, you would have a very, very nice vehicle. As you can see, I have my steering wheel heater on. I don't really need that right now. But like I was saying, with a tune, I think you would have a very nice vehicle for cruising around town, drop the kids off at school, and maybe making a trip to the track occasionally. I think Ford's really got a winner on their hands with this one. I hope it sells very well and they continue to develop this model, because it is very nice. Would like to see this thing get updated with like a 4-liter EcoBoost, and who knows, maybe one of these days we'll get a V8 EcoBoost. It looks like there's plenty of room under the hood for it, but until then, this one's not bad. Like I said, I would spend my money on it, so take that into account if it means anything to you at all. I wouldn't lie to you about it. But that's basically it. That's my review of the Ford Explorer ST. If you guys would, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, links below, and head over to svtperformance.com for our full review on this thing, plus all the latest news, reviews, and information on your favorite Ford performance vehicles.